Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our lesson on gifted and talented children. Okay, so this afternoon, so who is gifted and talented? Gifted, having extraordinary intellectual ability and creativity. Take note of the word extraordinary. So meaning go ano yan, pinaka ano na yan, no? Extraordinary, meaning it is beyond the level. So, pag talented naman, they are having exceptional skills and ability in specific area such as art, music, science, and language. So, those who can sing well, those who are good in arts, can be considered as a talented. So, for example, Edsel Basilan can be considered as what? Can be considered as talented. Okay, so good in music, science and language, if you are good in English, and if you are good in math. Okay, so the definitions of these terms, number one, the term and gifted talented when used with respect to students, children or youth means students, children or youth who can give evidence of high achievement, capability in such area as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capacity, or in a specific academic fields, and who need services or activities not ordinarily provided by the school in order to fully develop those capabilities. So the most important here The most important here is the word capabilities. The most important here is the word intellectual. So meaning there is what? Involvement of the cognitive aspect. There is an involvement of creativity and um, artistry and leadership skills of an individual. Okay. So maybe in academic field or in services. Okay. So yun po, ano? So another one is, hmm, ano? So these are the next definition is according to the proposed definition of outstanding talent. So children and youth with outstanding talent perform or show the potential for performing at remarkably high level of accomplishment when compared with others of their age, experience, or environment. If you are going to compare with others, there is what we call outstanding talent performance. So he is very different to others. For example, she or she in the group of 12 to 15, but her age niya is 10 or 9, and sinama siya doon, there is something different with him or her. So that is talented or gifted. These children and youth exhibit high performance capability and intellectual, creative, artistic, possess unusual leadership capacity, or excel in specific academic fields. So may kaya siyang gawin. There is something different with him or her when it comes to his comprehension, when it comes to his understanding of a topic. They require services or activities that ordinarily provided by the schools. Outstanding talents are present in children and youth from all cultural groups across all economic strata in all areas of human endeavor. So, meaning they have they can perform activities, they can perform in the different na with the different activities of human. The next is the Renzulli 3 definition. The giftedness is based on the interaction among three basic cluster of human traits. Above average, these are within the above average abilities, like processing information. In their young age, they're able to process information. They can integrate experiences. They can think abstract concepts, Then a high level of task commitment. Under task commitment, he understands motivation turned into action, like perseverance. They are very industrious. They are striving hard to study, endurance, hard work, but also self-confidence, perceptiveness, and a special fascination with a special subject. Renzulli argues that without task commitment, high achievement is simply not possible. Another one, by creativity, Renzulli understands the fluency, flexibility, and originality of thought, and openness to experience, sensitivity to stimulation, and a willingness to take risk. So yan po ang ano natin ng creativity. Okay? Next to that is, these are the three main conception of giftedness: above average, the task commitment, and creativity. Yung above average, the task commitment and creativity brought to here on the general performance in math, language, the arts, problem solving, critical thinking, inquiry process, information technology. These are the 21st century skills. These are the 21st century skills that the students must perform, that the students must have. Okay? So another one is the characteristics of the mentally gifted and talented, according to McAlpine and Reed in 1996. The characteristics of gifted and talented students can be studied in various sections. Their learning characteristics, meaning make something different with their learning characteristics on how they learn the topic, on how they learn the concepts. Next is the self-determination characteristics. Commonly, the mentally gifted and talented are self-determined. They don't want to set aside the task given to them. They are eager. They are eager to know. They are eager to learn. Yan. Creative thinking characteristics. It is very also important that the students are what? Creative. And mentally gifted and talented are also uh, with social leadership characteristics, that they are able to lead a group, that they are able to lead group tasks or activities. Yan. Motivational characteristics. If you notice, they are motivated to learn, they are motivated to study, they are motivated to perform a task. Gustong gusto nila yon. And commonly, they are the one that making their own problem, and they are the one also making their own solution. Okay? So sila yung gumagawa ng sarili nilang problema, at the same time, sila din yung gumagawa ng sarili nilang solusyon. Yun ang kagandahan. And the learning characteristics of a mentally gifted and talented, number one is displays logical and analytical thinking. They are able to reason out. They are able to analyze things happen in our environment. They're also quick to see pattern in relationships. So mostly they're able to connect the relationship of one object to another, then masters information quickly. They're able to grasp the knowledge. They're able to grasp the concepts. Madali nilang matutunan. They strive for accurate and valid solutions to the problems. As I mentioned a while ago, now they're able to make a problem, and they are able to make a solution out of their problem. Then strives for accurate and valid solutions to the problems. Easily grasps underlying principles. They are having the principles in life, and they're able to, and then that one. Then another one is like intellectual challenge. They wanted that jump stages in learning. They are able to, and then the stages in learning, and seeks to redefine problems, pose ideas, and formulate hypotheses. They're able to make their own conclusion, their own hypothesis, no? then reason things out for her or himself. They are very good in reasoning. They're very good in expressing their ideas and their thoughts. Now, formulating and supports ideas with evidence. They are more on presenting concrete evidences. Yung totoo, yung tamang yung fact. Okay, can recall a wide range of knowledge and independently seeks to discover the why and how things. So let us now proceed to the self-determination characteristics. Sila naman yung mga skeptical and authoritarian pronouncements, questions arbitrary decisions, no? Masyadong nakikipag they are having to debate, they're having to know the main information. They pushes teachers and adults for explanations. Nung especially when they are young, they are always asking, they are always wanted to answer, they are always wanted to know basic information and then displays a precious interest in adult problems, then reluctant, practice skills already mastered, is easily bored with routine tasks, no? So dapat they must have more activities to be performed, more activities to perform. Then express ideas, preference, opinions per forthrightly, and relates well to other children and adults, and often prefers their company and asks searching questions. They are more investigative. They wanted to more answers or more answers to the questions that they wanted to know. Yun ang mga talented and gifted. Another one is the creative thinking characteristics that produces original ideas, displays intellectual, playfulness, imagination, and fantasy, it creates original text or invert things, has a keen sense of humor and sees humor in the unusual, generates unusual insights, enjoys speculation and thinking about the future. No, they are more on the future. They wanted to know what will happen. They are more on focusing on the future or what they will what they want to do in the future. They demonstrate awareness of aesthetic qualities, is not afraid to be different. No, hindi sila natatakot na maging kakaiba because they have reasons in every action. They have explanations on every action, on and every situation they have, and they generate the large number of ideas, prepared to experiment with novel ideas and risk with being wrong, and seeks unusual rather than conventional relationships. So let us now proceed to the social leadership characteristics of talented and gifted. They takes the initiative in social situations. Yan. They are more on experiences. They are more on the applications. They are also popular with peers and communicates well with the others because they are gifted. They are talented. They're able to communicate well. They are able to express their thoughts. Actively seeks leadership in social situations, shows ability to inspire a group to meet goals, persuades a group to adapt ideas or methods. They are self-confident. They are adaptable and flexible in new situations. Actively seeks leadership in sporting activities and socially mature. They are socially mature and they are willing to take responsibility. Synthesis ideas from group members to formulate a plan of action. Okay, so pagdating naman sa motivational characteristics, they strive for high standards of personal achievement. They set expectations. They set personal targets, what they want to achieve. They are self-directed. They are able to do the things that in their own way, in their own management. No, they are highly self-motivated and self sets personal goals. They are persistent in seeing tasks to completion, becomes committed to and absorbed in task, tends to be self-critical and evaluative, is reliable, and they prefers to work independently. Okay, so what causes giftedness? Now, ano ba yung dahilan? Okay po, what will be another, then? Number one is because of biological factors And next is the social and emotional factors. So these are the different factors why there is an so biological factor is that regardless of where the child is raised, a gifted child will demonstrate the gifts at some point. For example, there are accounts of children with extraordinary gifts that could have an innate basis, such as musically gifted. No particular environment appears to have stimulated the gift. Yan. So psychologically, giftedness is believed to be a gift that has genetic origin and is at least partly innate, which may not be clear at early stage, but rather in an inclination that the child may possess the gift. So maybe they acquired their maybe they acquired their intelligence from their father or from their mother or from their ancestors. Okay? Studies have indicated that individuals with extremely high mathematical abilities have frontal lobes of brain which are more differentiated compared to average students. Neuropsychological studies claim that information processing gifted individuals have enhanced brain activity localized in the right hemisphere. May kinalaman din dito yung ating utak, the right brain and the left brain in the biological factors. So the social and environmental factors, these are the external variables, are defined as factors that influence a person's decision-making process, in particular the influences of peers with their friends, family, and school environment. Okay, so what are the types of giftedness? The types of giftedness, according to Belts and Nehart, there are 6 types of giftedness. That all gifted students are the same. Let us always remember that, no? Kahit nga po sa hindi giftedness, hindi sa gifted, still we are different from each other. Number 1 is the successful. Number 2 is the divergently gifted, meaning consists of many aspects. The underground, yung talagang deep, the dropouts, the double labeled, and the autonomous learner. So, ano ba yung, ano yan? Most easily identifiable may account for up to 90% of the identified gifted students in school, learn and adapt well to the system, are well adjusted to society, sila yung mga successful, they are well adjusted to society, generally have a high self-concept, they're able to see themselves higher, they are obedient, they can easily get bored at school. Okay, that's why we will prepare different shaded activities for them. Then they learn the system fast enough and they are also dependent on the system. Okay, so next is the divergently different or the challenging. Sila naman yung mga divergently gifted. They high levels of creativity. They are creative. They're not conform to the system. They're not able to follow. They have their own. Okay? Then often have conflicts with teachers and parents because the tendency is they're able to debate. They're able to 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 explain their own side, their own understanding. They get frustrated that the school system doesn't recognize their abilities. Kapag hindi sila nare-recognize, galit sila sa sistema ng school, may be seen as disrupted in the classroom, and a risk of dropping out. Why? Because of their delinquent behavior. Okay? So they must be processed by the guidance counselor or by their teachers because of their behavior. Next is the underground, refers to gifted students who deny their talents or hide their giftedness in order to feel more included with a non-gifted peer group. Okay, they are generally females ang mga underground who are frequently insecure and anxious as their belonging needs arise dramatically at this stage. And their changing needs more often conflicts with the expectation of parents and teachers. Okay. So, yan ang mga, ano din ang mga tendency sa mga underground. Okay? So, yung mga dropouts naman, angry and frustrated students whose needs have not been recognized, if they are not been recognized, ito yung mga ano din, then express themselves by being depressed or withdrawn and respondingly defensively. Sila yung may mga ugali na they are depressed, they are, and then very lately for they are bitter and resentful due to feelings of neglect if they are not recognize their attention, if they are not recognize their presence, no? Have very low self-esteem, matatalino sila, pero may mabababa silang self-esteem. They're not able to, they are not, hindi sila yung mga people smart, pero they are very intelligent. Ano? Counseling is highly recommended for this kind of people. Okay. The double labeled naman, gifted students who are physically or emotionally handicapped in some way or have a learning disability are not easily identifiable, do not show behaviors or giftedness that can be identified in schools, show signs of stress, frustration, rejection, helplessness, or isolation. They are also often impatient and critical with a low self-esteem, are easily ignored as they are seen as average, and the school system seem to focus more on their weaknesses and therefore fail to nurture their strengths. So, pag sinabi natin double labeled, ano na siya, they have two disabilities na, no? They are gifted, sometimes they are emotionally handicapped, they have their own learning disabilities. So another one is the autonomous learner. Who are these autonomous learner? Ang mga autonomous learner naman is learners who have learned to work effectively in the school system. They do not work for the system, but rather make the system work for them. They let the system to work on them. Yan ang mga autonomous. They're very successful. They have high self-concept. They accept themselves as risk takers. Yan. Go lang ng go sila. Ito yung mga autonomous learner. They are able to push through their plans, whatever may happen. Ganyan ang mga autonomous. And able to express their feelings, goals, and needs freely and appropriately. So, what are the tests and assessments in we are giving them the objective type of test. These are the common assessment tools for identification but should not serve as the sole source of identification. But pag sinabi natin so yung nag-iisa, the only, hindi dapat, hindi dapat. We must use other assessment tools because we will give them the identification strategy. What are the types of the test? We can give them intellectual, creative, artistic leadership in a specific academic fields. Yan. How can gifted and talented students be identified? Number one, through the classroom environment, through natural observation. We are able to observe their behavior. Ano po? Then, identification process be inclusive. Let me emphasize always this na since we are in the foundation of special and inclusive education, lahat ng what we are going to do is more on the inclusive. We will not we will always consider their gender, their racial, their culture, socioeconomic backgrounds. No, identification should be a flexible or continuous process because we wanted to allow the recognition of gifts and talents. Okay. So information which will help the teacher identify students' strengths and talents. We will consider their parents, they are able to particular in early identification of gifted and talented students based on the interview with their parents and their observation also. We will use the IQ test, the non-verbal and the verbal IQ test. And most of the time we are using standardized tests. There is school records, achievement tests, anecdotal records. The anecdotal records is not only those with bad behavior, but also your good behavior, their good behavior, your observation and their good behavior. Identification checklist. We will use this tool, the rating scales, the interpreters and translators. Okay, so we can use also the ability test, intelligence quotient, or cognitive abilities test scores are also used to identify gifted and talented students. While these tests provide information for the intellectual domain, so there is a particular tool that we are using here. Ano po? So meron tayong mga ginagamit na tools, ability test, which are nabibili talaga, na dapat meron ang mga schools. And we also have the individual, the Stanford Binet test, and we have the different group type of test for the group test. So that's all for the mental and gifted. Ano. Please wait for the link for the attendance at the same time for the short quiz on the topic that we discussed today. Okay? So thank you and God bless everyone.